Okay, so day 12 of culinary school. Today was a bit unique because I went from having one partner on Monday and also becoming a sous chef to two partners on Tuesday. So communication was a bit different with both of them, to having no partners today because one had to go to the other side and then one didn't show up. So really learning different ways to communicate, both from a team level, interpersonal level, and different partners, to just working by myself. And personally, I really enjoyed today working by myself. Obviously the pace had to be picked up a little bit, but I really enjoyed working by myself. I just had to take care of all my mise en place, all my vegetables, all my product, and make sure that was all taken care of. The thing that I sort of struggle with the most is like trying to focus on my thing, because I always try to like help other people, try to get their product, try to get their oil or vegetables or some dish somewhere. So really making sure that I'm sort of focused on my station, what I need to do, and really trying to stay more on top of the sanitation and just making sure my mise en place and my station is clean and perfect and orderly. So today was a really great opportunity to learn that. We talked a lot about vegetables and roasting. Roasting was a technique we worked on today, and we roasted some vegetables to just work on that technique. We started off the day with lecture, what vegetables were, a recipe review and a product ID, reviewing some herbs, vegetables, and different equipments around the kitchen. And then proceeded to go into mise en place. Again, mise en place is just make sure that everything is ready for production. So peeling, dicing, cutting every vegetable and product you need to make sure that when you're cooking, you're not running around and sort of you're set to go and you're ready to go. And so today we worked on vegetables, roasting vegetables. So worked on parsnip and carrot roasting. We also roasted cauliflower to make a garlic curry cauliflower that turned out really good. And then we did a roasted tomato coulis, which is just a fancy way of saying like almost a soup puree that is used sometimes as a sauce. So this can be a sweet puree or a savory puree. In the case of the roasted tomato, it almost came out like kind of like a salsa, but not a salsa. And then we made another vinaigrette to continue practicing that from yesterday. We also did, not on this board, I'm forgetting what it was. It was yogurt. It was like a yogurt sauce. It was like a dill yogurt dressing. So I sort of plated that with the cauliflower as I'm going to show you now. So this is what the cauliflower looks like. We did some browning on the skillet and then sort of roasted it for, 5-10 minutes. I plated the yogurt sauce sort of under it, sort of trying to mimic some modern techniques. Looking at this picture, it was so zoomed in, but it looked much better sort of flying on top. But I think looking at this picture, I would kind of move the cauliflower a little bit over to where the yogurt is more to kind of show where, that contrast. But I really like the contrast in the black plate. There's some good colors. The comment from chef was that, again, not enough seasoning. This is a constant theme, is like not enough. I'm feeling like I'm putting a lot of salt, but like realizing that it's not enough salt. So just, something to work on. But for me, the challenge for today as well, working by myself, was timing, making sure the dishes were coming out hot at the right time, and then knowing and multitasking, working on 2-3 different plates at a time. So this was sort of, in my opinion, it was a little bit overcooked, but he didn't comment on that at all. But again, good browning, good caramelization. And also you can see sort of the curry flavors. This is from the turmeric and the curry powder with a little bit of oil, kind of drizzled that as it was searing. The flavors, I mean, I feel like today I really discovered using turmeric and curry powder that I feel like I will be using more of in the future. Can't wait to get that. But I'm super stoked that we used those two spices for this because it made perfect sense. And then the yogurt, I'm going on a tangent, but the yogurt plus the cauliflower was really delicious. It just sort of cooled the curry, and it was so refreshing. That's the way I can sort of describe that. It was so refreshing and so delicious. Something as simple as cauliflower and yogurt dill sauce made it completely happen for me. I was super stoked, but again, needed to work on the seasoning. It's getting there, right? Like this is what practice and school is for. But today the big thing again was timing. So I'll keep talking about that. Speaking of timing, this was the roasted This was the roasted carrots and parsnip. You can see some of them are a bit charred, and he commented on basically it was too charred, right? Too overcooked on the charring. So making sure that, you know, as you're searing this before going into the roast, you're browning them, but not too brown, not black. So you can see some black here. He also commented on the fineness of the herbs, so making sure that they're finer than this, and so like a really fine mince, a really fine chop for the herbs, and then he also commented on the size of the carrots and the parsnip, making sure that they are equal in size, because if one is too big or one is too small, they're gonna cook at varying temperatures and at varying points. So, you know, we were introduced today to a new cut, the rolling bias cut. I forget the official name, but it's a rolling bias. Rolling turn, maybe? I don't know. So yeah, we worked on that today, but really again, emphasizing the size. It needs to be an equal shape. So that's something I need to, you know, hone in on and practice on. And but you know, that's sort of the carrots and the parsnip roasting. And then these were the beets. The beets were in the oven roasting for about 45 minutes, maybe 50 minutes. You can see I've sort of poked through it a little bit, took my paring knife, poked through it to make sure it was done. I thought it was done. It was undercooked. I'd also tried to, as a side note, tournee the beets. He much preferred it. I originally turned it in just with 2 beets, sort of tried to tournee it, but it was, he wanted me to go back, slice it up so that he could see the inside. Again, undercooked beets. I felt like, you know, the recipe called for 45 minutes. I was in there for 55-ish minutes, and the paring knife test. So again, just really honing in on the doneness of a vegetable. I mean, I feel like I'm really discouraged because this is such a basic thing that I'm missing the mark on, and I think I'm just rushing the food. And I talked to him about this. I'm rushing my process. And again, the thing that I was talking about earlier was timing, making sure the timing of all these dishes are right. So I'm just like, I need to work on that, right? Like not being in my head and just sort of cooking. Because as you can imagine, if you need to produce multiple dishes, you're working on these things sort of simultaneously. So really needing to work on the multitasking and just sort of knowing where each dish is at their specific points. This again was an exercise on cuts. This was the just a potato roasting. He again really talked about the equalness of each piece, making sure that they are uniform and also uniform in edges and roasting. So something that again I need to sort of take my time and roast sort of slowly and make sure that they have equal roasting color. So like he talks about GBD, golden brown delicious, and one side's GBD, one side is a little lighter. It has to be equal parts GBD. That sounded really cool. Equal parts GBD. And then this was the Coolie that we worked on. Again, sort of a quick puree. Could be a sweet or savory puree. In this case, it was like a roasted tomato puree. So over fire, sort of charred up the tomatoes, almost like making salsa, and then put it in the oven to roast, and then sort of squared it off, and then what is it called? Reducing. I reduced it to half and then added some sugar while I was reducing. His comment here earlier, it was too not salty enough. This one was way too sweet, so I put about teaspoon and a half of sugar for this, so a little too sweet on my end, but overall, for this particular dish, I reduced it. I also used the mill. So it was a lot of fun, and also a new technique that I learned, and a new culinary word I learned, which is Coolie, which is cool. With that being said, today I also wanted to make sure that my station was clean throughout, and I felt like I did a better job of doing that. Moving forward, I need to do a better job of number one, communicating when I do have partners. Number two, just not rushing the food. I feel like the product is suffering because I'm rushing in my head, and I need to sort of take my time and have a better game plan when it comes to cooking the food. But also focusing on the technique, right? Like, not to get too ahead of myself. I need to focus more on the technique that I'm learning. In this case, it was roasting. A lot of work left to be done. More than 90 plus days left for culinary school, so I'm excited, and I'm approaching finals. We're studying and we're cutting and we're getting ready for that, so a couple more hours tonight to practice on my knife cuts, and yeah, just overall good learning day. Struggling with timing, but something that I definitely need to work on and sort of just continue to remind myself to slow down. And yeah, with that being said, I have ranted enough. That is your update for day 12 of culinary school. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace. Bye.